Let's talk about scale and growing big. I think this is a trap that we fall into. When we when we seek to start with scale, what we end up doing is not creating the conditions for the initial people to come and engage with us. So when we think of scale, we think of mass marketing, of having everyone enjoy and like what we do and therefore become customers or patients of what we provide. Now, the reason this doesn't work so well today is, well, there's many reasons, but back in the day, this worked better because people were more there was a more central mindset when it came to things that people liked. Like keeping up with the Joneses was a true phenomenon where people who lived in the same neighborhoods, in the same communities, would be looking at each other and comparing and therefore wanted similar things. But we don't see that today. We see keeping up with the Joneses, the same effect happening at the subculture level, right? The idea of a culture has fragmented, and now we exist in small niche groups where there is comparison, but it's happening at that micro level. We couldn't really care what people who are into, I don't know, biker gangs, we couldn't care what they care about, or people who get extensive tattoos and body disfigurement as a status symbol, we couldn't really care what they care about. And so as culture segments and fractures, our ability to impact a singular culture at scale really diminishes. And as it fractures, things that people want become very different. You could be someone who is into vintage cars. I might be someone who doesn't get the idea of vintage cars and thinks it's kind of stupid. Why would you pay for bad gas mileage, worse driving experience, and so on? And when we approach and try to influence all these different people in the same way to get them to like us, what we end up doing is we create a service or a product that is very mediocre and boring, that doesn't offend anyone and tries to appeal to everyone, thereby attracting no one. And so what we have to do in today's economy is to let scale happen later, to forget about it for a while, and to first work on creating more meaning and more value for the individual subcultures that we seek to influence. We see this happen in every modern company today, that it's very rare that a company comes out and immediately makes a hit on scale and becomes popular on scale. What happens more often, if they have done that, it's probably because they were lucky. And what happens more often is that the companies start with the early adopters, people who are eager to try new things in that industry, people who are curious, people who are dissatisfied, people who are bored of the status quo. They will initially come and engage with your product or services. We see this in Apple, where when they first started, there were very few people who actually bought the first Apple products. And for good reason. It cost a lot of time, it cost a lot of money, it was very niche. And as Apple grew with those group of people, then the masses came, then scale happened. Because the people who come afterwards are going to look very different from the people who came initially. And as you change to serve the masses now, once you scale, then you can work on different things. Then you can look at distribution and price models and all that sort of stuff. But the initial attraction that's going to happen is not going to happen because you started with scale first. It's not going to happen because you were boring and average and meant for the average person. It's not because you're going to have the best cost structures. It's because you're going to have to, it's going to be because you had strong alignment with that subgroup's beliefs about what is good and bad and what is better. And from that initial engagement, you gain that initial group of people, their business, and the people who follow, the people who want to stay with the trends, the people who look at others and want to keep up with others in their subgroup, they're the ones who are going to follow along later. Scale happens later. All right, so that's it for this video. The mistake is to start off thinking of the end goal and to appear as if we are already at that end goal. We have to start from square one, which is to become remarkable to a smaller group of people, let them come first and the rest will follow. All right, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.